Hello, everyone, and happy 2022. I am Christine Gritman, your host of Let's Talk About Brand. First of all, let me know if you hear an echo, because I hear an echo. It's not always how it comes across. So please, if you're here live, let me know. See what I can do to mix it up. Anyway, this is our first show 2022. Yay! And I do this show every single Friday, normally, at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Please let me know, first of all, where you're watching from. Second of all, what platform you're watching us on, because we are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then also let us know if you're joining us live or on the replay. And again, please, live viewers, do let me know if you're hearing an echo. I'm really excited because today we are highlighting 3 of my most awesome community members and friends. And we're talking to them about their own personal brands, what they did with them in 2021, what they're looking forward to doing with them in 2022. And just as a reminder, we also talked about this on Tuesday during my weekly Twitter chat about brand. Every week on Tuesday at noon Eastern, we talk with our general community about the topic that I'm interviewing the guest experts about on Friday. All right, so without any further ado, and hopefully without echo, please do let me know. I'm going to bring on our first guest. So I'm going to bring them on one at a time. We do have 3. So I'm going to bring them on one at a time, and we are going to start actually with Teodora, who just joined us. Hello, Teodora. How are you? Hi. Are you connected?
Hi.
Okay, so we're actually... Oh, good. Yay, it's working. Now, Teodora, you're joining us from Italy. That's awesome. Oh, I can't really hear you very well. Well, first show of the new year. There's some technical glitches. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm joining you from... Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I mean, everything went well.
It's okay. We'll let you figure that out, and we'll actually hop to Jeremy first, and then we'll come back to you. So we are actually going to get started with Jeremy Linaburg. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I really wish someone would let me know if I'm echoing. This would be really good to know. Oh, there's Peter. No echo.
No echo.
Thank you so much, Peter. You're a champ. All right, good. So Jeremy, we're going to dive right in. Jeremy is in Virginia. And so Jeremy, first tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, and in particular, what you really did professionally and with your personal brand and all of that in 2021, because it was a big year for you.
It was indeed. So I graduated from college with a business and marketing degree, hopped in to a new role at the Museum of the Shenandoah Valley as a social media and digital marketing specialist. I love all things social media, community building, and I just kind of took social media by just the full force and just super embraced it. I got super active on Twitter specifically. And then just started to kind of grow, my network and make friends and that kind of stuff. And then right when I got back to our local community and started working locally in the area, we had a lot of friends come to Abby and I and Abby's my wife, about helping them with social media, because this was right when the pandemic started. Things started to get a little crazy. And then basically we started helping a couple of people, 1 or 2 local businesses, and then it started to branch out into 9. And then finally Abby and I were like, maybe we should just start a business with this. So on top of getting, my role going with the museum. We also started Wholesome Media, which is a organic social media and digital marketing business where Abby and I help an array of clients do a bunch of different things, managing their social media and communities and all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And I'm super proud of this, just finished my master's degree in marketing in 2021. So it was a big year.
Was, my goodness. And also, one of the best things about 2020 is that we got to meet. We met, I believe, on Twitter, but of course, we're in all
Yes.
the places. So, you kind of, what you just went through, graduating college, starting the master's degree, starting your business, all of that, a lot of that started in 2020. So, for you, what was one of the differences in how you conducted your professional life and your personal brand between 2020 and 2021? So I want to focus on this past year. So what are some of the things that happened that were kind of new in 2021?
Well, I think for me, well, there was kind of doubles there. Oh boy. Sorry about that. One of the things that I think um, kind of like changed, was that I started to kind of get known just a little bit about the social media nerd that just wanted to kind of get involved a little bit more. And before that, it wasn't really like that. It was kind of me just maneuvering through, the social media universe and that kind of stuff. Russ says, good morning. Good morning, Russ. But so that's one thing that I think primarily changed is it went from instead of, you know, kind of just going through and like finding my area and learning things, really diving into being known as kind of like the person that is interested in building communities, is interested in social media and is actually starting to learn some things and can become, kind of like a go-to, young individual if you want to know something hip about social.
I love that. And you have certainly made that journey. I've really been fascinated to watch it happen for you, to support you in that. We support each other. So
Yeah.
tell me, the $1 million question here today is, what do you see for your own personal brand, your career development, pie in the sky wishes for 2020? What are your big plans?
For 2020 or 2022?
Whoops, 2022. My bad.
Okay, sorry.
It's new. I'm
I was
new
like,
here in 2021. Two. Jesus, 2022. What are your plans
um,
for 2022?
yeah, so I think if I can do twofold, I think personally, at the museum, I've gotten so much incredible experience, and I never thought I would work in a museum in the nonprofit industry, but it's been super cool, and I've spent about 2.5 years there, and I've learned so much, and I want to be able to take that and kind of elevate it a little bit. So personally, I'm currently looking and interviewing with a couple of companies. So I'm hoping to, score one of those gigs possibly. If not, I'm still, kind of content at the museum. I love the work I do, and I love being able to, you know, talk about preserving and enriching the cultural heritage of the Shenandoah Valley, which is where we live. For Wholesome, this is interesting because I consider, our business, mine and Abby's business, Wholesome Media, constantly evolving. All of our businesses constantly evolve, but the fun part is because we're in such a new stage, a year and a half in, there's always super cool things to innovate and elevate. And one of the things that we really want to push for 2022 is that, well, one of them is like the idea of elevating just our brand in general. And we want to do that through our hashtag that we've just started developing and using, which is hashtag wholesome advice. And that's where we're just going to provide tips and tricks, but wholesome, kind of kind things that are going to be pushed out to the community, because we believe that creating positive change through your social media content is really important. And so that's one of the things that we're looking forward to. And then additionally, always, working with other clients and that kind of stuff as well, which we're hoping to work with you and kind of niche down what exactly, client we're aiming for. So being fully transparent, it's okay to just starting out to not really know exactly what area you're going in terms of who exactly you want to work with. but we hope to, really focus that in 2022.
Love that. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jeremy. You are such an integral part of the Let's Talk About Brand and especially the Chat About Brand community on Tuesdays. So thank you so much for that. Tell everyone where and how they can and should find you, both you and Wholesome Media.
So if you want to get in touch with me, majority of my handles are just at Jeremy_Linaburg or at Linaburg_Jeremy. It's kind of confusing. I apologize. If you want to get a hold of Wholesome Media, you can follow us on Facebook at Wholesome Media, or Instagram at _Wholesome Media, or on Twitter at media_wholesome.
Love it. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Always good to be with you. And yeah, Jeremy and his wife, Abby, are actually our community managers for the Chat About Brand chat. So they help keep the conversation going. At various times, they've helped me behind the scenes, and they are just fantastic human beings. All right, so next up, we have someone else who I initially met through Twitter. That's a common theme of all three of today's guests. They're people who I met and developed relationships with online, of course, including and especially through Chat About Brand and Let's Talk About Brand. So next up, we have the wonderful Maiko Sakai. Hello.
Hi, how are you? I need to just position myself a bit better in the circle-y thing. Okay.
Oh, good. You're in the circle. You're in the circle of trust, Maiko.
Yeah, there you go. Am I in it? Yeah, I'm in it.
Yes.
Hello, how are you?
You got to niche down into the spotlight. That's what you have to do.
That's right. That's right. I'm excited to be here.
Speaking of niches, tell everyone what your niche is and how you got to it. How did you become, niching into niching?
Right. It's a bit meta, right? So yeah, my name is Maiko Sakai, and I call myself either the niche lady or niche specialist at the moment. And my job and mission is to help creative entrepreneurs to really narrow down on their profitable niche. Now, note, I didn't just say narrow your niche, I said narrow your profitable niche. And it can be harder for creators and the creatives. So I have a framework to help them go through the process rather easily so that they don't stay in the space of indecision. So that's what I do.
And that is so important because the fact is, when we're just spinning our wheels, trying to do all the things, jack of all trade, master of none. And to your point, it is very important to narrow down and put our energies towards what is going to be profitable for us. So I would love to hear from you sort of what your business journey and personal brand journey was in 2021, especially because it was a very unique year. We all know that 2020 was 2020. 2021 is sort of that bridge where we're not out of the woods at all, but
right.
We got kind of used to some things and some other things, opened up and changed. So tell us what your 2021 was like for your own personal brand journey.
Great. Well, I'm going to throw a little bit that's not in 2021 real quick. So a long time ago, like 10 years ago, I went back to business school, and there was this personal brand expert. He's actually pretty huge on LinkedIn. I'm still connected with him. But anyway, he came to give us a talk about establishing your personal brand. And you're talking about like 10 years ago, right? Like a decade ago. And at that time, he was sort of pushing us to acquire our fullname.com domain name. And I raised my hand and then I said, because I really wasn't sure at that time, way back when. And I said, well, this seems too much like shameless self-promotion to me. And his reply, he didn't even flinch, right? He didn't even blink. He looked at me straight and he said, Miss Sakai, get over it. Anyway, so that was the story. And after that weekend, I acquired my fullname.com domain name. So it's maikosakai.com. So that's what I did. But anyway, back in 2021, not that long ago, well, I usually set the word of the year each year. And I've been doing this the past 4 years or so. So, it's not like I've been doing it for years or anything. But last year, my word of the year was rawsome. And it's not even a proper word. It's a combination of raw plus awesome. And the reason why I do this is so that it sets the tone for that year. So my brand journey to promote my business has been based on that word, meaning that, I don't know what you guys think of the word raw, but to me, it's being transparent, not so much so about authenticity, but it's more about really pushing myself as I am, as a whole, up front. And the 2021 was the year for me to do that. So any decisions, like business decisions or any activities that came my way, the first thing that I thought about is that, is this awesome or not? And it makes it so easy for me to make any decisions.
Now, what makes something rawsome or not rawsome?
It's something that's not aligned. Like, for example, there might be an offer to join a virtual summit or something like that. That could be a great opportunity, right? Great exposure, great visibility. But what if that whole thing is all about, I don't know, like a franchising business, or
Yeah.
it could be about something else. And well, it's hard for me to really help them, number one, and then number two, it would force me to be someone else in a sense. So that's an example of not being awesome.
I'm curious, do you remember who that thought leader was who talked to you about personal branding and told you to get over it?
William Aruda, I believe.
Okay.
If
gotta look
he's
him up.
watching, I'm not sure. I haven't really spoken to him for like 11 years or whatever, but yeah.
I'm always looking for more people to align with and who are in this space. So that's good to know.
He's
I will
been
look him up.
consistent. Yeah, he's been consistent throughout. And, I don't know what he's offering at the moment, but he definitely is one of those great experts.
Well, clearly we're like-minded because I also believe in putting yourself out there and owning it. Speaking of which, how do you plan to do that in 2022? What does 2022 look like for you right now, especially in terms of what you're planning for your personal brand and applying that to things?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm still, to be perfectly honest, I'm still planning that out. So this year, my word of the year is blossom. And I'm not going to go into it all too much about what's behind it and all that. But anyway, I really wanted to concentrate on everything that I've experienced in my life. And I wanted to really extract all the essence and combine them and really blossom with what I've learned and who I am and how comfortable I feel about myself. And I will be consistently communicating that with anyone who would love to listen. And so that's the one theme that's going to run through the whole entire year. However, the formats can be, there are many different formats to do that. I love being on people's podcasts and share my ideas and share my thoughts. And I will continue doing all sorts of visibility activities and, talk about my experience. So, even though my business is not about like helping people with personal branding, but I love to talk about it here and there just so that whoever's feeling uncomfortable about being themselves, I get to sort of give them, in the sense, kind of like a permission that, I mean, look at me, look at me. If I can do it, you can do it too.
That is so true. People have so many hangups around, it's very similar hangups between niching and embracing their personal brand. It's really ultimately the same hangup, which is
Yeah.
how are you defining yourself? And people are hesitant to do that. So to your point of, if I can do it, you can do it. What are some things that you would tell people who want to get started with that, or who want to take a bigger leap in that in 2022, in terms of finally sort of pointing themselves in a particular direction?
Absolutely. I mean, start small. It's okay. Like, you remember the story that I just shared earlier, it was about me purchasing that domain name. And to be honest, after I purchased it, I didn't do anything for like 3 years or so with that domain name. So you know how long it took me to actually start using that domain name, and that's okay. And start small. You don't really have to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and talk to as many people as possible, whether your peers or friends, or if you have an audience, ask them a lot of questions about what they like to hear from you, in what format, right? And they can give you a ton of ideas. Then you get to sort of decide which one feels the most comfortable, and start from where you feel the most comfortable. You don't really need to put a lot of pressure on it. And I would imagine, and I would certainly hope, that you have a long life ahead of you, so you don't have to really rush into it, and start building it based on what you hear from others. You take in some feedback, you digest on that, and you formulate your own style. Your style is not going to be born overnight, so there will be a lot of experimentations, and I hope you will have fun doing that.
Absolutely. And you really can start small. You can evolve, you can iterate. You're not locked into one thing forever. And starting
Yep,
where you're comfortable, such a good place to start. And it'll lead to you getting so much less discouraged. All right,
absolutely.
Maiko, so where can and should people find you?
Yeah, so like I said, I do have my fullname.com domain name. That's a good place to start. Now it's maikosakai.com, and if you add a /quiz to it, you get to take a free quiz. It's called, what is your impact creation archetype as an entrepreneur? That will help you to niche down your offers or your services a bit better, and it's free, so I hope you'll give it a try.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Maiko. That was so
Thank you.
helpful. And thank you again for being a part of such a great part of the Chat About Brand community every single week. Wow, I just heard some snow like blowing up on my roof. All right, anyway, I'm so excited to bring on our next guest as well, Teodora Pirciu. She is coming to us, as mentioned before, from Italy. That's one of the things I love the most about Twitter and about the internet in general, which is that you connect with people from all different places who share your interests and your passions. So thank you so much for being here. Whoops, that's not you. That's you.
That's me. And now I'm like finally online properly, right?
Perfect. So welcome. Tell everyone about yourself and what you do. What is your personal brand?
Oh, so it's a long story actually, because I started as a freelance writer and I grow myself into being a content marketing strategist, content marketer, and content marketing strategist. And I learned this the hard way. Like I was teaching other people how to do marketing for their brands and for their companies. But what happened was that at some point, I got this opportunity to write about my story during the pandemic for a restaurant, for an Italian restaurant somewhere in the US. And they kindly asked me to share the story on my social accounts. And I was like, okay, I could share that, but I have no one to share that with, because I was so busy doing marketing for other people that I had forgotten about myself and about my brand. And I just realized that, hey, I'm going to write this piece. It's going to be a very beautiful and very emotional piece, but there will be no one to read this because I have like zero reach. So that was like, let's say, the first step to start building my personal brand using social media. And that was I think, around the summer of 2020, but it was only at the end of 2020 in December that I became intentional about it. So 2021 for me was actually the first year in which I was committed to building my personal brand. And I'm so happy I finally got the courage and the determination to do that. And for me, 2021 was like being my personal brand just was born recently. So I'm still a toddler.
Happy birthday to Teodora's personal brand.
Thank you.
You decided to become intentional about it and you decided to own it and focus on it. What are some of the first things that you focused on, and what are some of the things that sort of got traction for you?
Well, I realized that whatever I would want to do, I would need an audience to do it. If I wanted to launch a product, I would need an audience to sell it to. If I wanted to publish an ebook or a book, I would still need an audience to sell that to. Or if I just wanted to have my voice heard, I would still need an audience because no one would carry that message for me. So that was the moment when I said, okay, I need to be on social media and to be intentional about it, because I had a Facebook account, like everybody, like every old millennial out there, I think, and their parents now have a social Facebook account. But I realized that was something private that I wanted to keep for myself. So I said, I need a different platform, a place where I can make myself heard and where I can be myself without being frustrated, where I wouldn't need to compare myself with others. I tried Instagram, but it was too much for me at that moment because I had zero experience with social media outside my small, tiny bubble. And I just realized it wasn't for me at that moment. I wasn't mature enough to handle Instagram, where you tend to compare every single second with somebody else. So I found Twitter, and that was like a blessing for me. I found Twitter and LinkedIn, and again, I was on LinkedIn, never used it properly, but I just realized that these two together just make the perfect combination for someone who's working in the B2B area and who wants to build something that is organic and sustainable, and that can have that solid basis for building something that lasts. So for me, the winning mix was Twitter plus LinkedIn.
I love that. And you mentioned that that's the winning mix for your personal brand, but you also do social media for other people and digital marketing for clients. So are the platforms you use for yourself and the platforms you use with clients in alignment, or are they kind of different? Because my experience was a little different. I feel like I'm so heavy on Instagram with clients I've worked with on social media, but for personal branding, I'm with you on Twitter and LinkedIn. So how do you use them differently or the same for clients versus yourself?
Okay, so I do content strategy and content marketing. The social media is not my part. I write content for social media, but I'm not working alone on that. What I can say is that this mix, Twitter plus LinkedIn, isn't for everybody. And that, oh my God, I need to put my marketer brain here and say, it depends, like it depends. If it worked for me, it doesn't mean it will work for a company or it will work for you. Or it depends so much on what you want to achieve, on the people you want to connect with, on the sort of message you want to put out there, on how much you want to be yourself and how much you want to polish your image. And the audience that you target, it depends on the audience that you target as well. It's a mix of factors, and I wouldn't say that I wouldn't suggest to most of the clients I'm working with, I wouldn't suggest this mix.
Well, that makes sense. So now you help people with creating content and with content strategy. What do you think, in your experience, is some of the best content to create around a personal brand? So not like selling sneakers or something, but selling you.
Oh, so I try to mix a bit of everything. So I go for video, I go for audio. I like to play with Canva and create like tiny pieces of visual content. And I think that the key for personal branding is not to take yourself too seriously, because honestly, no one else does. Why would you do it? So I'd say a bit of all until you find what better represents you. Of course, if you don't feel comfortable with sharing something online, don't do it. I always say apply the mom rule. If you can't imagine seeing your mother or watching your mother in her eyes after reading whatever you've published online, then don't do it. So you still need to, if your mom gets on that page, you want to be comfortable with seeing your mother after she has read that page. So, and I think that's for anyone who expresses any opinion online. So
that's smart. I'm 41 and I actually do still hear sometimes from my parents who are on social media when they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't have posted that political thing. You have a professional account." And like I'm me. I stand by that. But I agree with you that you have to be able to have that conversation with your mother about anything you put online. If you're gonna be like, "Whoops, sorry," yeah, no, don't do it to begin with. Good call.
Well, if you are comfortable with standing up in front of your mother and said, Mom, I post about whatever I like and I don't care what you think about it. Well, yes, then do it. Own it. But whatever you do, every mistake, own it. I think that's what makes us professionals and adults, after all, right? I made this. I own it. I'm not going to cancel my tweet, delete my tweet just because someone was offended. Hey, if I stand by this, yeah, it's a mistake. I wrote that out of frustration. I wrote that out of, fear, anxiety. But it happened. It represented who I was at that moment. This is how I react when I'm scared or when I'm mad or when, there's too much happening. Own that. Don't hide. I mean, that's a correct and transparent and authentic personal brand. Otherwise, it's just, whomever you would like to be.
Yeah. All right. So tell us, Teodora, what is ahead for you in 2022? What are you hoping to do to push your toddler personal brand out there in the right direction?
Well, I'm going to continue Maiko's theme because I also decided to choose a word for this year. And for me, this year, the word is patience. I need to learn to be patient and to let my accounts and my presence grow at its own rhythm without forcing things too much. And I need to be more patient, like in real life as well, like, in my day-to-day interactions with my kids and my family and whatever happens behind the scenes. So I'm going to continue what I've done well in 2021. I'm not going to try to do too much anymore. I want to let things, grow slowly because slower is better. I mean, that's where I am right now. And I really need to learn to be patient about Twitter, about LinkedIn. Oh, one thing I will try again, though, is to build myself a presence on Instagram. I don't know. I just want to give it a second chance. And I've just learned, I mean, that will be absurd for all the social media marketers out there. But I know some people just are like so slow learners. I've just learned that you can connect your Instagram and your Facebook. So now every time I publish something on Instagram, it goes on my Facebook page. And I can basically grow them together at the same time.
So I feel like I'm supposed to say that's not a best practice, but if the alternative is not doing anything on Facebook, go for it, girl. Something's better than nothing. All right, great. So tell people where they can and should find you.
Oh, I live on Twitter. So that's a fact. I live on Twitter. I have my Twitter notifications on pretty much until like midnight. That would be Ema Pirciu. That would be my Twitter handle. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Teodora Ema Pirciu. And this is where I would look for myself right now. Or you can just Google me. But I think, I have nice pictures on Google. So yeah, Google me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here. I know that it is evening for you right now. So thank you especially for giving us part of your Friday evening. And thanks for being such an amazing supporter and contributor to the Chat About Brand and Let's Talk About Brand community, because any community is only as good as its members. So thank you so much for that as well.
Oh, thank you. Because I couldn't have grown so much on Twitter without being a constant presence in your chat.
Oh, love
it.
That.
It was a definitory for my growth. I've learned so much during that chat.
I love that. Thank you. All right. So, whoops. I'm getting back into the swing of things. 2022, everybody. So again, I do this show every single Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. I also have a chat on Twitter on Tuesdays at 12 noon Eastern time that all three of these lovely people join regularly. They are huge parts of my community and I love them for it. And speaking of that chat, join us next Tuesday. Here's our topic. That sort of cut off awkwardly, but on Tuesday we are talking about branding with podcasts. And then next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel, we are talking to the fabulous Melanie Benson all about that next Friday. So she is our special guest. She has her own podcast. She guests on other people's podcasts. I've been on her podcast, and we're going to talk about how podcasts can help you develop and define and shed light on your personal brand. So please do join us for that. Thanks very much. Bye.